Welcome to our 5 on 5. Joining me from Eugene, we have Democratic U.S. Representative Peter DeFazio. Thank you for joining me today, sir.
Thanks for the opportunity.
So first, congratulations on being elected to your 17th term in the House.
Wow.
What are you looking forward to most this coming year?
Being in the majority. I have been in Congress a long time, as you noted, but 2/3 of the time I've been in the minority. Not to say that I can't work across the aisle, I have. We've gotten some pretty good stuff done in the last 8 years while in the minority. My provisions to dredge small ports that have kept the Oregon ports dredged, pretty good. Federal Aviation Bill, a good Coast Guard bill that just passed the Senate today and are signed off by the Senate. Senate's not there, but they signed off on it today. So we still got things done, but I want to be able to take the lead and the initiative on rebuilding America's infrastructure and a host of other issues. And when you're in the majority, you can set the agenda. I've been having to react to the agenda.
Yeah, and with that in mind, maybe the infrastructure that you just mentioned, what is your first priority?
Well, the head of White House Congressional Affairs came in to see me before the election. I think they had their finger in the wind and thought maybe I was going to end up being chairman. And she wanted to talk about doing an infrastructure bill to help deliver on the goals the president set as a candidate. Unfortunately, the staff he hired proposed, instead of a real federal investment partnering with the states, they proposed privatization by selling off the existing interstate and tolling it and all sorts of other ideas that went nowhere in a Republican Congress and aren't even worth talking about in a Democratic Congress. So I'm inviting her back in when we go back next week, and I want to start talking more specifically about how we're going to move forward with the funding. That's the #1 issue in terms of rebuilding our infrastructure, is the funding. The policy is going to be easy. The funding's the tough part.
Will you be looking for some help from the president? Do you think you'll get that?
Yes. I've had one meeting with the president on infrastructure, and he talked about a very large number in terms of increase in the gas tax. And I said, I think that'd be politically difficult, but I have some other ideas on how we can raise the money with bonds and incremental increase in the gas tax, indexing to inflation, et cetera. So it's ultimately not my jurisdiction, but that goes to the Ways and Means Committee in the House. But you know, I'm going to offer to work with the president and hope that he'll get on board, because we're going to need him. We can move a bill out of the House, but if we're going to move the Republican Senate, we're going to need the support of the president.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll continue with Congressman DeFazio after this commercial. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. I'm joined in Eugene by Democratic U.S. Representative Peter DeFazio. Congressman, there's talk that pushing for the president's tax returns could backfire politically. Will you be pushing to see those documents?
That's up to the Ways and Means Committee. Historically, every presidential candidate has revealed his or her tax returns. The president's an outlier. I think the American people would like disclosure. I'm on legislation that would require any future candidate for the presidency to release their returns in full, and for the sitting president and vice president to release their returns. But it's ultimately the Ways and Means Committee, under existing law, has the authority to ask for them, and there are indications that they will potentially do that.
Some Democrats don't want to see Nancy Pelosi return to her previous role as House Majority Speaker. If it was up to you, who would you select?
Look, we're having a vigorous internal family discussion. It's kind of like sitting down to Thanksgiving dinner with relatives, some bunch of new relatives at the table all of a sudden, and the existing family, some of whom are in a different place. We're going to have that as an internal, outside the view of the public discussion vigorously next week, and have a secret ballot in caucus to nominate a leader to go to the floor for a public vote on January 3rd. So I'm not talking about the family discussion.
All right, fair enough. We talked about infrastructure. You're widely expected to be the new chairman of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. How would that role benefit your constituents?
Well, when I was in the minority the last time, we did a major bill called Safety Lou. I brought close to $500 million of extra federal funds into the state to help deal with our interstate bridge problem and other issues around the state. We had congressionally designated spending for a number of projects. For instance, the Weaver Bridge down there in Douglas County. I had someone stand up at a town meeting and say, I hate earmarks. And I said, well, the Weaver Road Bridge that accesses all that new industrial, oh, that's great. I said, that was an earmark. I put that money there. That's congressionally designated high priority spending. Do I want to let the bureaucrats in Salem and the bureaucrats in Washington determine where all the money goes? Yeah, I can shape the formulas, and I've got the formulas shaped so that Oregon gets a higher percentage than it used to of the federal funds. But there are also individual projects that Salem isn't going to want to do that need doing in this state and in other states around the country. And I'm going to work to allow elected representatives as opposed to appointed bureaucrats determine where a small amount of the money goes.
All right, well, I appreciate you taking the time for us before the holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Stay with us. We'll be right back.